From the moment this story hit the internet, the entire timeline froze, because what is happening right now between JT and Lil Uzi Vert feels less like celebrity drama and more like a full-blown implosion unfolding in real time. The kind of scandal that forces everyone to stop scrolling, sit up straight, and say, "Oh, this is about to get messy." And trust me, it absolutely did. Because according to explosive court filings, Lil Uzi's former assistant has accused him of repeatedly crossing professional boundaries, flooding her phone with explicit messages, and creating an environment so uncomfortable that people online are calling it the beginning of the end. Twitter is in shambles, TikTok detectives are stitching every theory imaginable, and the streets are whispering something even more shocking, rumors of a possible pregnancy. Yes, you heard that correctly. A pregnancy. And that one word alone has sent the internet into a frenzy of child support predictions, betrayal memes, and "JT better pack his bags for him" comments. But here is where things take a darker turn. Because insiders are claiming that this is not some isolated moment of chaos. Apparently, this behavior has been a pattern, a long-running nightmare JT has silently survived for years. People close to the situation claim that multiple affairs have happened behind the scenes, each one buried under fame, money, and carefully crafted public appearances. Social media is calling it the scandal JT should have never had to endure, and honestly, they might be right. Because between workplace misconduct allegations, whispers of a secret pregnancy, and the looming shadow of child support battles, this entire situation feels like a storm designed to destroy everything in its path. And JT? She is not holding back anymore. The city girl image is gone, replaced with a woman who looks tired, fed up, and done playing quiet. Comment sections have turned into war zones as fans defend her, drag him, and debate every detail like it is a criminal trial. Meanwhile, Lil Uzi is standing in the center of a fire he might not be able to put out this time. People are saying this scandal might follow him for months, maybe even years, and for once, there is no escaping the spotlight. What makes it even worse is that the timing could not be more chaotic. It has only been weeks since JT and Uzi were dragged into Cardi B's stray shots online, and before the dust from that could even settle, this lawsuit detonated like a bomb. Days ago, the assistant, who is staying anonymous under the name Jane Doe, officially filed her case. And here is the plot twist that sent everyone's jaw to the floor. She did not just name Lil Uzi, she named his entire management company, Roc Nation, as defendants too. Meaning this is no longer a personal scandal, this is an industry-level earthquake. And the internet? The internet is eating it up, frame by frame, tweet by tweet, thread by thread. Because this is no longer just celebrity drama. This is betrayal, power, secrets, and consequences colliding in public view. And honestly, this might be the moment that changes everything. There is one thing everyone knows about Roc Nation: when a scandal erupts, their attorneys do not sleep. They do not blink. They do not even breathe until the flames are under control. And this time, they were thrown straight into a wildfire. Because according to the assistant's lawsuit filed in California Superior Court, her experience behind the scenes was not just stressful, it was allegedly a nightmare disguised as a job. The filing describes persistent sexual harassment through explicit messages and inappropriate comments, dozens of sleepless nights spent on call while traveling across the United States, Europe, Asia, and Australia, and brutal shifts that lasted anywhere from 12 to almost 40 hours without overtime pay. Social media read the court documents and collectively gasped because tucked inside those pages were direct quotes. Messages that allegedly came from Uzi himself: "I sent you something on Vanish. Come rub me down before you leave. Send me something. Let me see that booty." The internet exploded like a courtroom microphone that suddenly picked up the whispered truth. But the allegations did not stop there. The assistant claims that every time she rejected his advances, her job became harder, colder, and more unbearable. And while this type of story is tragically familiar in the entertainment industry, she added another layer of darkness, claiming that Uzi allegedly used substances frequently, and whenever he reached a certain level of intoxication, the chaos intensified. She says that in one disturbing moment, he called her more than an assistant, "You are my woman," a line that sent Twitter into a meltdown of shock and disbelief. And the wildest part? Fans have speculated for years about Uzi's substance use, and although he once publicly claimed that he was working on sobriety, this lawsuit, if true, paints a very different picture. For someone who always maintained a friendly, soft-spoken persona, the idea that his nice guy image might be nothing more than a mask? Nobody had that on their 2025 bingo card. And yet, somehow, it gets worse. Because Roc Nation is not just mentioned in the lawsuit, they are named as defendants. According to the assistant, they allegedly watched the chaos unfold from the front row and still expected her to perform like a machine. She claims she worked shifts of up to 30 hours while touring and was required to be reachable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She alleges she paid for work expenses out of her own pocket, including Wi-Fi, meals, supplies, and travel necessities. And when she finally asked Uzi's manager, Amina DOP, for reimbursement and overtime pay, she was allegedly told she would only be receiving her base salary of $50,000. In this economy, fans nearly combusted at that part alone. But here is where the timeline becomes even more chaotic. In early 2023, she was placed on Roc Nation's management staff as an official artist management coordinator. Her salary reportedly increased to $100,000 after a meeting with CEO Desiree Perez, with promises of performance reviews that were supposed to boost her compensation. She claims those reviews never happened. Instead, her workload doubled. Then, in December 2023, another twist arrived like a slap across the timeline. JT allegedly fired her own assistant and got permission to use this same woman as her personal assistant, at no extra pay. Court documents state that through the rest of December, Doe worked for both Uzi and JT simultaneously, still receiving only one salary. Twitter dragged the situation instantly, connecting the dots back to the city girl's decline, wondering loudly if JT avoided paying for an assistant because her solo career was not selling. People joked online. Cardi B said they share purses, so sharing an assistant is the natural next step. Eventually, Jane Doe asked the court for unspecified punitive damages for harassment, unpaid overtime, reimbursement failures, and emotional and psychological distress. And for a minute, the internet thought she was going to win. But then, out of nowhere, she dropped the lawsuit. No warning. No explanation. Just silence. The world blinked, and then the plot twist hit. Rumors spread that her original filing might not have been completely truthful, not because nothing happened, but because something else allegedly happened too, something she did not want exposed in a courtroom. Whispers claim that she and Uzi may have been involved in private behind the scenes, and she allegedly fell pregnant. And if that part is true, then Uzi is not out of danger. Because while harassment claims are complex and hard to prove, paternity and child support cases? Those hit like guided missiles. And while fans were still trying to breathe, JT shocked everyone by deleting her entire Twitter account. That move alone told the public that whatever is happening behind closed doors is darker than what we have been told. Reports are now claiming that she has been confronting Uzi not only over alleged cheating but also the possibility that he impregnated another woman. And to make it even spicier, there have been whispers for years that JT wanted a baby with Uzi, but he refused. Even Cardi B hinted at this last month when JT made fun of Cardi's man. Cardi clapped back with a nuclear response, claiming she had audio and private conversations that would expose Uzi's true behavior. She even said, "I want justice for those babies, your man makes you move every time," which sent the internet into a frenzy. The emotional disaster did not stop there. Uzi has faced cheating accusations countless times. At first, JT fought everyone online, saying people were lying, hating, and projecting. She tweeted that he was not a cheater and that any issue they had was something super petty. But by 2023, everyone knew their relationship was on life support. Their breakups were practically seasonal. Then came the moment that made the situation impossible to hide. JT unfollowed Uzi on Instagram. And in celebrity culture, that unfollow is not small. It is not subtle. It is an explosion. It is the digital equivalent of dragging his belongings onto the balcony and throwing them into the street while neighbors watch in silence. It symbolizes every tear swallowed, every betrayal ignored, every humiliation she pretended did not hurt. When she hit that unfollow button, everyone knew something catastrophic had snapped. That wasn't a tantrum. That was a declaration. It was her saying, "I cannot keep lying to myself. This relationship is not a relationship anymore." And that brings us to now, a swirling tornado of accusations, secrecy, betrayal, possible pregnancy, industry cover-ups, emotional warfare, and a couple who cannot seem to let go even while they destroy each other. This scandal is not just drama. It is a collapse, a truth-telling, a reckoning. And the internet is sitting front row. When someone is hurting publicly, when their heartbreak has become a spectacle, they speak in codes, captions, and confessions that cut deeper than arguments ever could. And JT did exactly that. She posted a single sentence on her Instagram story, just one line, but it hit with the impact of a collapsing world. Watching someone change on you and pretend to be completely unaware of what they are doing, really the worst feeling ever. And that sentence did not read like shade, it read like a funeral. The funeral of trust. The death of peace. The quiet burial of all the moments she spent pretending she was fine. Because betrayal rarely hits like lightning. It creeps. It softens its feet. It comes in small shifts, the way someone stops looking at you the same, the way their tone sharpens, or their excuses multiply, or their warmth fades. And suddenly you find yourself asking, am I imagining this, while the other person acts confused, innocent, oblivious, even though deep down, they know exactly what they are doing. That is the type of hurt that makes your chest ache when you are alone at night. The kind that makes you question your sanity. But then came the line that revealed who JT truly is beneath all the glam, the fame, and the loud moments. But the best thing about repeated betrayal is you get stronger. Those words were not for the internet. They were for herself. That is the voice of someone who has cried until the tears stopped burning. Someone who has forgiven so many times that the apologies lost meaning. Someone who learned how to get up quicker every time life knocked her down. That was not inspiration, it was survival. It was her telling herself, you have been through this too many times to fall apart again. It was an emotional autobiography disguised as an Instagram quote. Then she posted another screenshot, one from a song lyric that read, I do not like men. I do not like women. I do not like nobody. And while fans laughed, reposted, and turned it into memes, everyone who has ever been heartbroken recognized that feeling instantly. That is not humor. That is exhaustion. That is what happens when someone you love turns your trust into rubble. You begin to pull back from everyone, even people who never hurt you. You build walls so high that even you cannot climb them. She was not just joking, she was sending a warning to the world, my heart is closed. I am done letting people play with me. But see, relationships like theirs, the tempestuous kind, the dramatic kind, the passionate but destructive kind, they do not simply end. They explode, fall apart, then drag themselves back together like magnets that should not connect but somehow always do. And that is exactly what happened. After all the posts, the shade, the messages that cut like knives, they got back together. Fans were stunned, confused, and yet not surprised at all. Because this was their rhythm. They fought loudly and loved even louder. They were the type of couple who could argue in a hallway and kiss in a parking lot 10 minutes later. But coming back does not mean the wounds disappear. It just means the cycle resets. And one thing about JT? She was fiercely protective of Uzi. Not insecure, protective. When you love someone you are terrified of losing, you hold them with both hands even when it burns. She felt the eyes on him. She knew the industry was messy. She had seen the rumors, the DMs, the women who would gladly step into her place. Her reactions were emotional because her love was emotional. So when another woman's name even entered the conversation, the alarms in her heart went off instantly. Which is why the 2023 BET Awards became the most unforgettable moment in their history, a moment that still lives rent-free in the entertainment world. Uzi performing, the lights flashing, the beat hitting, and suddenly he name-dropped Ice Spice. It lasted a second, but that second felt like someone ripping the stitches off an old wound. JT's expression shifted instantly. She saw the subtle spotlight he gave another woman. And when you already feel the relationship slipping, even a hint of attention elsewhere feels like a knife. After the show, Uzi and Ice Spice were caught talking backstage, smiling, laughing, oblivious to the storm building just a few steps away. JT saw it. She felt the disrespect in her bones. She approached him with the type of energy that could power a city. Not quietly. Not politely. She reacted from the heart, from the pain, from the embarrassment, and yes, from the fear. In that explosive moment, she threw his phone at him in front of everyone. Not out of violence, but out of desperation. Out of wanting him to feel even a fraction of what she felt. And in that one scene, music loud, cameras rolling, her voice shaking with anger, you could see their entire relationship summarized in a split second: passion, chaos, jealousy, longing, insecurity, and love so intense it became sharp. People judged her, mocked her, labeled her dramatic. But deep down, everyone understood. Because nobody reacts that intensely over someone they do not care about. That was pain talking. That was love talking. That was fear talking. That was heartbreak spilling over like boiling water. And just when the world thought the drama had reached its ceiling, a new plot twist slammed into the timeline like a meteor. A couple months ago, everything took another deranged turn when Uzi's alleged side piece decided she had been silent long enough. She did not creep into the conversation, she crashed into it. This Dominican artist, Manura Queen, appeared on a Spanish-language podcast and detonated every secret she had been holding. She did not whisper. She did not filter. She treated the microphone like a diary she was finally ready to open. The internet froze the moment her name trended. Because according to her, Uzi was not just cheating casually, he was putting in effort. Real effort. She claimed he had been taking Spanish lessons just to talk to her. Not to travel. Not for culture. Not to expand his world. But allegedly to cheat internationally with better communication. The internet lost its mind. Because that is not cheating, it is a curriculum. A language elective. A semester abroad in infidelity. And suddenly, everything made sense. The distance. The tension. The Instagram quotes. The eruptions at award shows. The jealousy. The emotional breakdowns. All of it was leading up to the truth that was now spilling out in 2 languages. This was not just a scandal anymore. This was a demolition. A collapse of trust, loyalty, and sanity in real time. And social media was sitting front row, popcorn in hand, watching the truth unravel piece by chaotic piece. You almost have to step back and blink a few times just to process it. Cheating by itself is already chaotic. Cheating is already reckless, already cruel. But cheating in another language? That is not regular disrespect, that is Olympic-level dedication to disaster. The internet pounced immediately. Timelines flooded with jokes, threads, and think pieces. People were saying things like, so this man cannot turn in an album on time, but he can download a language app to sweet-talk his side girl? The memes came faster than the translations. And the wildest part is that when Manura talked about it, she did not even sound proud. She sounded stunned, like she was still trying to wrap her own mind around it. Because seriously, what kind of person struggles through basic vocabulary just to say things they should not be saying in the first place? And then she dropped the part that sent the internet straight to the floor. According to her, when things between them shifted from friendly to intimate, Uzi allegedly tried to talk dirty to her in Spanish. Just picture that for a second. A man clinging to beginner-level grammar, wrestling with verb endings, trying to sound seductive while sounding like he is stumbling through an oral exam he did not study for. She claimed that he was trying his hardest, fully committed, no shame, no hesitation, just raw effort. The moment she said it, people online started sliding down walls, screaming into pillows, because the second-hand embarrassment was unbearable. Imagine hearing broken, choppy sentences delivered with full confidence, all in the name of infidelity. And the craziest part? It apparently worked enough for them to keep dealing with each other. That is how far the situation had drifted from any kind of normal sense. Meanwhile, JT, the woman whose name has been glued to his for years, the woman who has stood next to him in music, in headlines, in mess, seemed either deeply in denial or desperately choosing peace. For the longest time, rumors felt like background noise. There were screenshots floating around, sub-tweets, subliminal lyrics, shady posts, and still the relationship never quite ended in a way that felt final. JT has always been selective with what she shares. She keeps a velvet rope around her real life. She lets fans see what she wants them to see, and nothing more. So the public started forming 2 theories: either she knew and chose not to look directly at it, or she was holding on so tightly to what she wanted their relationship to be that she refused to accept what it actually was. But now the storyline has crossed a line that nobody can pretend does not exist. This is no longer just alleged flirting or rumors of cheating. Now there are whispers of an actual pregnancy, talks of a possible paternity case, and real receipts floating through group chats and timelines. The cheating alone was already damaging, but the idea of a baby with someone else turned everything from messy into catastrophic. What used to be something she could try to process in private has become a multi-layered public implosion. Side piece drama. Work-related allegations. Legal risks. Overseas trips.